Hey everybody, I am going on a ride today and I want to show you guys what it's going to look like through this thing. This is the DJI Osmo Action Camera and it's in direct competition to the GoPro 7, which I already use as my predominant main camera. So today I'm going to actually take you out and show you some different shots with the Action Camera, and then I'm going to compare them to what they look like with the GoPro 7 Black. So stick around. Before I get on the bike, I want to talk about some of the things about this camera. They have some pros and they have some cons. And some of the things that are on this camera, on the Action, aren't on the GoPro 7 Black, and vice versa. The pros and cons of this one. So first, the pros. Well, first, when it comes in the box, you get this camera case, which is right here, similar to a GoPro. A GoPro will not fit this camera case, but it is similar to one. And it comes with a battery, and it comes with a charging cable, and a couple sticky mounts as well. So some of the pros. Biggest thing, the price. It's $50 cheaper than the GoPro 7 Black. This retails, I believe, for around $350, and then the Black is $400. However, saying that, the GoPro Black has that trade-in program where you can, well, the GoPro company does, so you could get like $100 off if you turn in an old camera. At the same time, DJI just came out with something very similar to that where they give you DJI credit. But still, price is important. It's $50 cheaper right off the bat. Their big selling point, another pro that they talk about, is the dual screen. You can see it right here. So with GoPro, you only have the back screen right now. This is off. But to switch it, you just hit two fingers. Let's see if it works there. There it goes. You hit two fingers and it turns it off. So you could switch between the rear view, which is right here, and then if I hit my two fingers, that should switch it. There it goes. And then you are able to see yourself here. So here's my take on it. I'm not going to use this that much. So is it a big selling point for me? No, because the main reason I have this camera is to put it on the helmet and show you guys the areas I ride in. But someone that might be vlogging or something that might have it on a stick and walking around, keeps it in frame. But most of these action cameras, especially GoPro, they have it's a pretty wide shot, so you really can't screw it up. Another thing that I really want to give DJI credit for, because they didn't have to do this, but it was actually smart for them to do it. All the GoPro mounts are compatible. Mounts. I didn't say frame. So if actually you can't put the GoPro 7 in this frame, but other than that, everything else fits. So the thumb screws fit. You can actually see that's the GoPro mount that I put on my helmet. And these thumb screws are made by Smotry, but you get the point. So they're compatible. So because the market is so saturated, for them to come out and force you to buy something that they sell, I think would have been a big mistake. So kudos to them. Another thing that this camera is pretty cool that it has is you could film in HDR, high dynamic range. There's a good and bad with that, and I'll explain that once I get to the cons. So speaking of cons, so one of the biggest cons that I can have of this camera, and it's a big one. Now, and I think DJI is going to fix this. From what I've read in the forums, they're going to fix the audio problem, and I'll tell you what it is in just a second. So for those of you that have been subscribed to this channel, you know with my audio, I get my audio through my Sena. So I have a Sena 20S right here, and then I have a GoPro 4, and on the back of it has a GP10, which what that is it's a Bluetooth capability, so I have a mic inside my helmet right here. And that's how I get all my audio. However, there's a lot of vloggers out there, and it doesn't even have to be on motorcycles. People want external audio. You can't do that with this camera. Can you believe that? I think that's a big miss from DJI for doing that. So they're talking about that they're going to make a USB-C to 3.5, so then you could plug it in here. And what's funny is I have one of those DJI pockets, and I think I might have it in here. Let me see if I have the adapter. I do. So it looks like this. This is a DJI 3.5 or USB-C to 3.5 that you plug in the pocket. So I was thinking, hey, no problem. I'll plug this into here. So it just like slides right in, so it fits. And then all I have to do is plug a microphone in, and then I'd have audio. Well, guess what? It's a big fat no. It does not work. So they are going to make some money on this. I talked about them, giving them kudos for keeping with the GoPro mounts, but they didn't have it. I mean, I cannot believe that they have this actual converter works on the pocket, but it won't work on this. So we'll see down the road if they come to it. But a lot of vloggers use that GoPro audio pack, the big monstrosity thing that they put on their helmets. Then they run a mic through their helmet so you can hear the audio. Because right now, it's kind of pointless, because if I use this mainly for audio, which is, I won't because I use the Bluetooth, but for those of you out there that do use it, it's not going to work. I mean, you can hear it, but it's just going to be wind noise, especially going fast. The first time I took it out, I mean, you can hear me at really low speeds, but as soon as you pick up speed, it's just wind noise, so it's kind of pointless. So that is a big con. The second con I want to talk about is the filming modes. What I mean by that, with GoPro, you have linear, you have wide, and then you have, I think it's super wide is what it's called. So this only has wide, and so it's one type shot. And I like the wide on a GoPro because it gives you a good field of view. You're able to see a lot of things. Some people might not use that. They might use linear, but I use wide on mine. This has a wide. The only downside to it, it's cropped a little bit more than the GoPro is. I think it's like 10-15% more cropped. And once I get on the road, and then you guys are going to see the differences between this camera and then the GoPro 7. Another con that they have is there's a couple things that this camera doesn't have that GoPro 7 does. I mean, obviously the external mic, but the other one thing is the time warp. With GoPro 7 Black, they have that time warp feature where you could film at fast speed, and it looks pretty cool actually. Similar to the mic on the forums, they said that that's coming down the road. So we'll see what happens. You know, I'm going to talk to you about the audio for a second, because the audio just, you know, without running and, you know, using mountain biking or ride the bike or anything, or a motorcycle, the audio is actually pretty good. You know, just they have a couple different mic placements on it. I think GoPro has 3 and this one has 2 mics. But still, I mean, actually right now, I'm going to let you guys hear it. This is, well, I got to hit record, obviously. So I'm going to hit record here. And it is recording. You can see the little red light here on top. And you're going to hear my voice. Now, this audio is coming directly from the, or onto the action camera. Obviously, it's going to probably be muffled because I have my helmet on. But you get the gist of it. So let me turn that off. And now you're hearing the audio back from the Sena backpack. That's predominantly the audio in this thing. So overall, you know, it does have its pros and cons compared to, you know, the GoPro 7. You know, it all depends what you're looking for. You know, I mean, I want you guys today to see what it looks like visually from a standpoint of how it looks compared to the GoPro 7. You know, I was talking earlier about the HDR, the high dynamic range. You know, both GoPro Hero 7 are the blacks, and the new Action have image stabilization, which is awesome, and both do very, very well. The image stabilization on this thing is called the Rock Steady, and I think it's hyper smooth on the GoPro. But the downside on the Rock Steady, 2 things. First thing, when you're in wide mode, it crops it more than the GoPro with the image stabilization on. And also, you can't film in that high dynamic range I mentioned earlier. That's a big con. You know, I mean, what's the point of, you know, if you're not going to get stable footage, you know, to have HDR. So, I mean, if like you're just sitting there, you got it on a tripod, absolutely. But if you're just, you know, you're filming, you're moving around a lot, it's probably going to have the camera shake a lot. So that's a big downside. So what I'm going to do is now take you guys with me. I'm going to put this thing on this helmet, go around a couple roads, and the first clip, what I'm going to do is film in 1080-60 with the Action. And that's the settings I always use on my GoPro, 1080-60 and wide. And then I'm going to do 1080-60 wide on here. Then maybe I'll throw a slow motion shot on you. And then maybe I'll do a 1080-30 with HDR. And the HDR, that's going to be the image, the Rock Steady is going to be off. So you're going to notice a difference with the stabilization. And then the last thing I'm going to do is take the GoPro 7 and film in 1080-60. So I'll show you like 4 or 5 shots that you guys can compare to, and let you make up your own mind. This is the Osmo Action, and I am filming in 1080-60 wide with Rock Steady on. You might notice a little bit of a difference once you see the GoPro on the field of view. But I'm getting audio from the GoPro and the Bluetooth, the Sena backpack, but this is 1080-60 wide. This is the Osmo Action. I'm filming in 1080, 30 frames per second in the HDR mode. And with that, Rock Steady is off. I don't know how great of a shot that is to really gain HDR, but here it is. This is the Osmo Action with slow-mo. I don't know how much I'll ever use this, but I've used it a couple times on the GoPro. It's a cool little feature. Slow-mo. Going to the gas station. For the last shot, this is the GoPro Hero 7 Black. I am in 1080/60 wide, and the Hyper Smooth is on. Now, one thing you're going to notice right away is look at the field of view. You see how much wider it is compared to the field of view on the Action? And that's where that cropping comes in. You know, I think both shots were nice, you know, but I think with the Osmo, you kind of get it off like right in here, whereas the GoPro, you're going to have more of a wider shot. You might get maybe the navigation or the radio, you might get a piece of this, a little bit more of a view than you would with the Osmo. So here's my take. I think they're both solid cameras, and I've always been a fan of both companies, and I don't think there's anything wrong with the Action. I really don't. I think it's my only take is, and kind of disappointment is, DJI's known for like kind of being the leader of innovation. I figured if they would have had enough time, and GoPro's been around forever, so if they're just now getting in the market, they kind of would have tried to up them. Yes, they did it on a couple things, but kind of disappointing on the field of view, very disappointing on the external mic. I think if they get all of these in place with upgraded firmware, that they could actually change some of these settings, I think it's almost going to be an identical camera. You know, there's going to be some GoPro fanboys and there's going to be some DJI fanboys, you know, I like them both. Who knows? So let me know your take. I mean, see which, if you saw a big difference between the two. Let me know if you saw a huge difference with the coloring, because they both filmed the exact same way with the exception of the one that I did with the HDR. But overall, I mean, I think it's a solid camera. All right, guys, again, thanks for taking the time to watch. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that sub button. Be well, and I'll talk to you guys soon.